Hi guys. Hello Avinash. Hello Sukanya.
Hi, hi.
Hi Manoj, hi Avinash.
Hi, Sukanya.
So, how's January in terms
So
of
it's been
films?
hectic. Hectic. A lot of things, a lot of festivals.
Mhm.
Best of times, worst of times.
So yeah, I don't know. Sukanya, you do Indian films, is it? Review.
Predominantly, yes.
Um,
Yes.
so did
So
you get to watch any South Indian films?
no, I unfortunately I'm in Delhi right now. There was a cold wave going on, so I only ended up watching what I really had to for work. But yeah, I missed on a couple of stuff, a couple of movies, but I've seen the Hindi stuff. I have not watched Main Atal Hoon. I have watched Fighter, Merry Christmas, and Killer Soup. So, and there is Indian Police Force and Karma Calling, which it's an uphill task to basically.
But did you like any of them? Like which?
Yeah, I mean, see, I'd like to talk about January, the month earlier, because see, last year it started with Pathan, right? Until Pathan, January last couple of Januaries were going a bit slow because of the pandemic and everything. Nothing significant was coming out, or nothing. Everybody was busy writing of Hindi film industry, this and that, and then Pathan comes, and there's this giant SRK wave which drowns out all the pessimism and criticism, and the it's sort of set the tone for the year, for at least Hindi cinema. And this year, obviously, one started out thinking again it's Siddharth Anand at helm. Probably there'll be more, but yeah, I mean. It started out great, I would say, because Sriram Raghavan's Merry Christmas comes out, and anything from Sriram Raghavan is like obviously like uh, it got delayed also, so one was really looking forward to it, and it was such a fantastic film. It was everything. I mean, the trailer was so well cut, it doesn't give out anything, and you were like curious at the same time. You were interested to see how the pair of Vijay Sethupathi and Katrina Kaif, plays out. And I mean, there's so much to say about Merry Christmas itself, because my first reaction after watching the movie was I want to watch it again, because because every time you watch a Sri Ram Raghavan movie, I might sound like a fangirl, but the thing is, there's so much he puts out there that you want to kind of, you turn into a like movie Sherlock, and you want to grab everything that's in there, and you want to notice everything, and he turns you into a nerd of sorts. And at the same time, there was so much about the film, but the surprising element was that, you might have thought, okay, two people connecting over a period of a night, Christmas Eve, maybe in the space of con or ittifaq or whatever, but the surprise was not the thriller, the crime. The surprise was how romantic it turns out to be. And the way he presents vintage Bombay in an unspecified time, and uh, the way he plays off these two very distinct personalities, Vijay and Katrina, are, I mean, you'll think in a very conventional way, okay, oh, they are like poles apart or whatever. But I didn't feel that. I felt how well they blended, and how he uses the softness in their personality, and at the same time keeps it mysterious. And there's so much going on that, yeah, I need to watch the movie a couple of more times to kind of really but what I really like is that, he doesn't put in things, references for the sake of embellishment. It's like it's in his blood. It's just how he processes. Like, if you hear him talk, his t-shirts, everything about his personality just speaks movies, love for movies. And I think that comes across, and it's sort of like he if you appreciate movies the way he does, his movies really talk to you, whether it's, I mean, whatever. So yeah, so Merry Christmas was definitely a great beginning.
Yeah.
Have you watched it?
No. We
I
had a very
I hope I
pretty.
haven't given away
We
any
had a very packed
spoilers.
box office in South. In Telugu, Tamil, everything. So it was quite busy. Right,
Okay,
Avinash?
okay.
So you can tell us, what was.
I don't actually just I mean, the trailer is such a perfect trailer because it has you curious, it doesn't give away anything, and it's like a master class. And otherwise it's like a pet peeve of mine how our trailers are. It's like everything, it's just like you go in there for opening credits and end credits, so everything is out there. But this was really amazing, and the use of classical music, it's just brilliant. I absolutely loved the movie. You sort of hope every year movies start on this glorious note. But usually January has always been a somewhat low-key month. It's never like the festive special or whatever. And then there was Killer Soup, which came around the same time on OTT, which Abhishek Chaubey again is a very interesting filmmaker. Everything he's come up with is always like, found appreciation. And there's always something new he's doing. But Killer Soup for me was a middling experience. I thought it was going in a very quirky space, and the visuals were really well done and everything. But I thought it took on a lot more than and even though it was long form, it just somehow got too convoluted over a period of. But at the same time, I wouldn't be dismissive because I was Manoj Bajpayee and Konkana and the rest of the actors, everything, there was so much amazing happening, and at the same time it just didn't have that bite for me. Like something was amiss.
Konkana
So
Sen looked killer. I was pretty impressed with the trailer of Killer Soup.
yeah,
Yeah,
Konkana is awesome. In fact, it's hard to believe that Konkana and Manoj haven't worked together before this, because actually pairings are something that I kind of singled out in January, between Katrina and Vijay and Konkana and Manoj, and for the wrong reasons between Ritik and Deepika, because I thought it was completely underutilized considering the kind of chemistry they could have brought in. I'll speak about that later. But yeah, I mean, Konkana and Manoj were like, and the other actors were my biggest takeaway, because the show had a lot of characters that you could hold on to, but the story itself ultimately, like in the show itself, they say all this signifies nothing, because there are a lot of Shakespeare references, a lot of Macbeth echoes to the storytelling. So yeah, I just felt a bit like I wanted more maybe, and it just didn't. Like for me, Killer Soup couldn't decide the kind of dish it wants to be, And then there is Fighter, which I mean, Siddharth Anand, you kind of know what to expect. There'll be the whole
but he
Hollywood
was on a
sponging
different
of.
track with a very nationalistic
Absolutely.
tone.
Okay, my thing on this is, okay, fine. You want to do this hyper patriotic stuff, whatever, do it. Go ahead, do it. But at least make it a fair game, make it a fair contest. Your villain is this caricature, this, two jokers representing the entire, okay, yeah, this is Dushman Mulk or whatever. And it's like, how in video games you'll choose easy mode and then you'll take a screenshot, okay, yay, won the game, whatever. So it felt so silly. And another thing was, you have like two awesome actors like Ritik and Deepika, who are like, more than their good looks, yeah, attractive for sure, but then they're also very sensitive. Over a period of time they have established themselves. So you expect a bit more bite in this, which I thought Fighter was. It was just very superficial for me. I didn't find it all that entertaining or anything beyond the gloss. I mean, it felt like I said in my review, wannabe Top Gun. So it didn't really. It was just good looks, good looks, good looks. So yeah, that's my summary of January. A very non-stop, breathless summary. I'm still watching Indian Police Force and Karma Calling, which like I said, it's going slow and not so steady. But it's nice to see Ravina and Shilpa Shetty active again. Tell me about what
That
you
was quite
watched.
Very extensive,
yeah,
January in Hindi.
yeah, Avinash, you go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, I enjoyed Merry Christmas. I saw the Tamil version also. It's an interesting experimental thing that Shyam Raghavan did.
Yeah.
Just had the police station scenes a bit different, and he
Yeah.
brought in someone like Radhika to play that cop role. Radhika Sharat Kumar from South. Then actually quite enjoyed fight. It was very um, sentimental per se in some places. Like it knew how to wring that sentiment out of you with the music, with the whole Beti thing that they did with Deepika towards the end, and it actually showed how important it's having great actors in the film. Like Ashutosh Rana comes for a scene, and then he's like convinces you that he is a dad who will finally randomly walk to the border and then salute his daughter, and we'll still buy it because it's Ashutosh Rana doing it. So some things like that worked in Fighter and America. I didn't watch Killer Soup in Hindi. I wanted to because it had a lot of South representation. It had Nasser, it had Andhurasan, but then somehow it just didn't happen. Like, because Manoj would know a lot of releases in the South, a lot of releases because
Do you
yeah,
think it is
yeah.
some sort of a marketing gimmick that to bring all the Southing into just to add diversity? So it
It's better if they do this way than just having one random villain coming or one random actor just joining in. Here you actually have characters they can play, and they are. For instance, Sedu's playing a Tamil guy who's coming in Bombay. It's better than him randomly coming and saying Shanta Mekonu and all that. It's okay. It's okay to have this representation is fine, completely fine.
but what did you feel about Tamil movies? We had
Oh,
Captain Miller.
yeah, you had Captain Milan Island, and then you had Mission. Pongal was very interesting
Okay.
in Tamil this time.
Mhm.
Of course, Captain Miller and Island were the main two picks, but then I saw a lot of posts that said that Mission somehow managed to break even in a lot of places. It's fun to see three distinct releases still finding its audience.
But trailer was not so inspiring, no, that Mission Chapter One, because it feel like
Yeah,
very
yeah. It felt like
bookish, by
I felt like
textbook.
they cut like they had one big fight and they cut it into the trailer. That's what the trailer gave you the
Yeah,
vibe.
it was a very familiar template.
Yeah, but I think the spillover during Pongal is very interesting because if people want to go watch a film in the theaters, they go to the theaters, they find films like Captain Miller Island running to packed houses. People who go there will always find a film.
Uh,
That used to be the case few years back. You'll have some 6, 7 releases a day in during Pongal. So anyone who wants to go to the theater will find a film to watch. I think slowly that has been reduced, but if you see how Mission has fared and how probably going forward with jam-packed weeks, day in and every second week, we'll find these spillovers happening, and probably we'll find some interesting films in such ways also.
I think for me the biggest Pongal highlight was Captain Miller.
Mm-hmm.
It really worked for me. It had like a lot of nuances to it, and especially saying narrating the story through the oppressed. It's like
Yeah.
oppressed community. It was a different take altogether. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
how Dhanush joins the reason behind Dhanush joining the British Army, and then he's coming out and like starting all this warfare.
Yeah.
It worked a lot.
You watched Arun Madheshwar's previous films like Rocky and Sani Tiger. Did you have a chance to
But
watch
did you
those
have
films?
anything different to say about that film? Was it?
No,
Uh,
Captain Miller, I had some issues with it because I found the villains to be very violent. There is suddenly an actor who, of course, he's playing the oppressor, but there's sudden maniacal twist to him. Like, why should he suddenly laugh like that? And the villains also were very, I found them very one note. They didn't really have a lot of nuances to it because you suddenly find a general's son becoming the villain, but we don't really know why he is the villain there, except the fact that he is British and he must have done something wrong, which is an understandable fact. Just like how we say Mulk, the Pakistani ISI is wrong, irrespective of what happens. Similarly, here when you talk about the oppression during the British rule, British are wrong, but then you need something else because you expect something out of a film which has Dhanush, and we're talking a lot about the the temples and how the British come in and loot these temples. I think those things are never actually shown in Tamil cinema per se. Don't really show British coming in, what happened during that era. Tamil cinema didn't really tap a lot into that. It was interesting to see that happen, but probably I felt it was too stylish, and it's overwritten a lot of things. There are a lot of scenes that are happening, a lot of sub layers, a lot of side arcs that happen, and somehow if I thought if you had probably cut down on a little more and tweak, tweaked around with how he was presenting certain scenes, I'd have been more happy with Captain Miller.
I think one of the biggest drawbacks of this film was the fight sequences. What was supposed to be this warfare, what was supposed to be this guerrilla attacks, I think it something randomly happens, especially the pre-interval fight sequences, where you don't see, there's no coordination, you have no idea who's fighting at who or what kind of weapons are being used, and suddenly and I think like Dhanush looks the weakest when he's doing in the action. Probably only in the second half during that Killer Killer song. I think that is the only time when the action peaks. Even the climax fight sequences was it didn't really strike. But
no, I think most
overall
of the
the
fight sequence didn't
drama,
work for me.
yeah,
The fight sequence didn't work at all. Like actually, Arun Majesh is known for
fight,
orchestrating the
violent, yeah,
stylized.
violent action.
Yeah. Somehow with such a big star, I think something went wrong there. And another thing is like what Sukanya was saying about how trailers spoil a lot of fun. Here, that big reveal is already shown in the trailer. So if you don't
I
really,
mean,
you're waiting for, yeah.
I think there was no other surprise. No, we already knew like before going in, like
Yeah.
it was it's a story about a ex ex British force, turning against imperial forces. So I think there was no. I was only curious how he'll do it. And I was only curious,
Right.
especially I was like mad about Dhanush's look,
Yeah.
and I was like hoping like he was gonna. I went ready, hoping that he'll blow my mind. But I think it did. It was not totally disappointing. I think the action sequences did not click, but there were like some good things. What about the island?
Island is actually, again, we go back with great attempt, but probably not all kids films translate well into the doesn't always satiate the adults' expectations from films. One of those films, like I loved watching the cuteness. I like the VFX was really good. I love the whole human, like don't all those things. It was fun. It was fun. It was very simple film. Like as in, it didn't aim too much with the story. It aimed with the visuals. That it convincingly it was very good. But then we also need a bit of story that will make it more than just a template alien film. It's like you see an alien, you know what's going to happen, kind of a template. They played quite safe with the template, but then considering the delays that happened with the film, the hype around the film and what it wanted to do, and considering Island 2 was launched soon after the first film, and so probably I think it had a very specific target audience in mind and it hit it perfectly. But then there are also other kinds of audiences, right? So I think.
Talking about children's film, what did you think about Hanuman?
So I didn't find the time to watch Hanuman, but then wow, what happened with that in the Telugu race is something that I didn't expect at all. I like Prashant Verma's films. I've seen, I think except Hanuman, I've seen the others, and even with the film like Zombie Ready, which didn't really work for me, I like what Prashant Verma tries with his content and the style that he goes for. I was expecting Hanuman to do a particular have a particular reach, but then, wow, what it had was something like, yeah,
See,
that is the dark horse of the whole.
I don't know what the box office, but it didn't really work for me. Not one bit.
Okay.
Yeah. It's basically I went in to I went in for that movie to to know about Hanuman, right? This young boy who gets this powers of Lord Hanuman, right? But I don't learn anything about him. The only eye movements in the film is when Lord Hanuman shows up on the screen. That is only you feel the movie comes alive. Rest of the time, it's pretty dull. Either it's when it goes back to this mythological realms, the movie works, or either when the hero piggybacks on popular Telugu stars, when he mimics their mannerisms, that is when the story kind of you are able to connect with the film. But on the whole, he has wasted a lot of time. I mean, you have a boy who has this powers of Lord Hanuman. He could have just like dreamed up a lot of things. He could have done so many things with it. But what he ends up basing all the runtime on like this pointless romantic tracks and unwanted fight sequences. I mean, and the villain is like very textbook. By the textbook, he's very template. He follows certain template, and there is no innovation, as in like when it comes to this hero journey, and there is no heart for the Hanuman to do, the hero. And Michael is very run of the mill villain, so it didn't really work. I think the only thing worked is when the God himself shows up on the screen. So
But
yeah.
Manoj, do you think
Literal divine intervention.
but there's this viral video of Prashant Verma going around where he says that he had specific high points in the film was properly thought of, and the film was almost like it's written around these high points. That's something which when Mr. Vijayendra Prasad said once after the Bahubali phenomenon, he said it's important to have these two high points before the interval, two later, and one in the climax, kind of a thing. Do you think films are getting orchestrated that way now?
Animal certainly was.
Yeah, I mean, see, that is not the point, right? Like when Prashant Verma came, he was very innovative. Where if his first film was very innovative. It was genre bending. He had multiple genres, set within the premise of a coffee shop. That was very innovative, and he was a promising. Right now, is like you're losing him to a blockbuster. He wants to like make a crowd pleaser, and he's making great compromises to make it palatable to a bigger audience. So that is like I mean, irrespective of the box office numbers, like it doesn't matter to the film lovers, right? We want something like we want people to keep pushing the boundaries of storytelling, and there's like pretty good ideas. They have fantastic ideas in the Hanuman. I'm not saying no, but he did not really put a lot of effort in like building up the hero Hanumantu. So that is why I was not able to connect with him.
Talking
It's
about building up the hero, did Guntur Karam work for you?
huh?
Talking
Sorry?
about building up the hero, did Guntur Karam work for you?
So I couldn't watch Guntur Karam.
So I chose Guntur Karam and not. I wanted to watch one hero elevation. I thought I'll go with someone I know already. So
Okay.
yeah,
I didn't.
another that again and a proper Mahesh Babu star vehicle and all. But I think they oversold the film as something else, and it was something else altogether. Something what
No,
even the
but
producer was saying.
seriously, I think there were filmmakers made no effort in setting any sort of expectation for that movie. Right from the first posters to everything, there was nothing new to it. They were just presenting Mahesh
It's
Babu
always
in
with him with
different
that
styles.
BD, no?
Huh?
Just him with that BD, right?
Yeah. It's like as if like they shot on their iPhone and like put it on. Like they did not even make a lot of effort, behind to have a proper photo shoot, because they did not promise anything they are not going to offer. They were just promised that you're going to come for Mahesh Babu. You're going to see Mahesh Babu for like 2 hours 3 hours.
That probably was the agenda, and that they delivered. But then, yeah, somewhere along the line, the film
So yeah, yeah.
really do that. Yes, yes.
It didn't work
It was fun.
for you at all. Huh?
No, I actually didn't mind the film at all. It's a proper Sankranti kind of a vibe. I remember watching Angyatavasi a few years back in a packed Mumbai hall. Um, I remember the silence that was there. Here, it wasn't that silent per se. As in, after the movie finished, also, they were like, okay, we came to get entertained. We watched a fun film. There was a lot of laughs. There was a lot of sentimental moments. We'll work around it, kind of a thing. That actually worked. As you said, it didn't really promise much. At one point, people are saying, was this a film that will be released on time? Will it be coming this month or not? Kind of a film. I think on that account, it was a proper family drama, which, and somewhere down the line, I think Trivikram or whatever, whoever was advising him on those lines said, you need to add little elements to it. Suddenly, you find random fights, randomness all over. Like, what could have been a proper it's very subtle family drama with a few like proper Ala Venkatapuramlo space of family drama with the humor, with a lot of parents, children, wives. It actually reminded me of a very 2005 Malayalam film called Rajamanikam. Very similar premise, very like actually the same premise. I hope someone got paid something for that film. But then otherwise, if it's inspiration, then fine then.
No, there was a report also, like saying before the release of the film that Rajamanikam has some influence on the.
No, I won't call it some. It's like the core premise is from Rajamanikam.
Okay.
The entire core premise. But then, yeah, they made it into a proper Mahesh Babu film. It isn't great. It isn't completely bad. It's a proper middling film. But since it has Mahesh Babu, the fans will go for him, and I think they must be happy. I was happy watching him do things on screen for sure. Yeah.
Avinash, tell me, speaking of fans, like while watching Fighter, did you get the audience feels? Was it a packed hall or something?
It was a packed hall, but I think somewhere down the line, I think the last two films that Ritik played, I think he was very subtle, like he was very downplayed his whole match is more his charisma because Super 30 or Vikram
Vikram
Vedha,
Vedha.
yeah, didn't really get him his full charisma on screen. I think they were waiting for something to happen in Fighter. They were constantly waiting for that big moment for Ritik to happen. I think till he gets on ground in the climax, he's always flying and he just has to look good on screen. So
For me, I think Fighter was a big writing issue because I thought his character wasn't, like if it was trying to be maverick or whatever, the arrogance and everything, it wasn't well established at all. And the fact that he just says please and things happen. And I mean, he's batting for the girl child as well. I mean, you're doing Deepika's bidding for her. I thought that kind of...
No, I think it didn't. I think everyone around him had to say that he's arrogant, but I don't think he ever pushed that agenda. Like he didn't look arrogant in any. He didn't do anything arrogant.
I don't think he was arrogant. He was like reckless, maybe, but it wasn't established. It wasn't. It was quite poorly established, I thought.
Yeah. Like it was only through dialogues, right? Like someone had to say, "Hey, this guy is very arrogant. Hey, this guy is very cocky. Hey,
exactly.
This guy
it's just that. Yeah. I'm saying this is the villain, so you have to believe this is the villain. It wasn't. There was no build up to that. And the call signs were really.
Patty. Oh, that NJ callback was so bad. So
seriously bad. Red nose.
Oh, red nose. Yeah. Like
and what was with the look of that Terminator kind of red eye?
The villain,
the villain
the film
with
has a red nose, a red eye.
Yeah,
done. They were sorted. They
red flags. Red flags is what I noticed.
All over. Yeah. The film needed a lot of finesse in writing. It was it aimed for the simpler things.
I think the difference, because Abbas Tayarwala and Sridhar Raghavan were at the helm of Pathan, and this was, so I think that showed, that because masala also needs a certain finesse to it, otherwise it just doesn't land. And this just felt like all the material is there, but it's just not soaring.
You know how to cook. You need to know how to cook it. You know what flame you need to set.
Exactly.
And with a lot of films like these, like the Pathan or Fighter or War or whatever the run was done, basically any mass masala film, it's what you get out with that you remember. Like if you're walking out of the film
Absolutely, yeah.
with a happy feeling that yeah, India won or something, you're happy about it. Or the
And
hero wins, hero escapes.
But I
Not
think that
absolutely.
Pathan was able. People were able to connect with Pathan because they could see the subtext. You know, there was. It felt like it was somehow the film was reflecting what was happening in Shah Rukh's life at that point in time.
I think a
So
lot
I
of
think,
factors went in
yeah,
Pathan's success. We were like, people were really starved to see Shah Rukh again on screen, and it was very the writing just hit the right notes,
I
the
think probably
dialogues and everything, the way the character was, the I think the moral compass of that movie and Fighter, the intent says a lot. The intent of Fighter was like a lot of it was dictated by formula. It was just, chalo,
yeah.
this worked, let's repeat, recycle. So that sort of showed. I mean, we've already seen Ritik do the, dude bit in War to the extent he achieved that. After that, this felt like a lesser avatar of the same.
do you think this will affect the war too? Ritik?
No,
I
nothing's gonna
I
affect war.
I'm tired of this Padosi Mulk bashing. Please find new enemies.
No, I think that
Please.
they're having NTR Junior play the
Yeah, that
villain
is gonna be
war. So
maybe
it's
that
not
might
going to be
change a
Parosi
bit.
Milk. It's going to be something else
Also,
for
it's a
sure.
very exciting dynamic. It something new always. Kind of, at least we hope that it changes the whole way, the flavor of it. So let's see.
Yeah. So did you also catch any Malayalam film this month?
No,
So
no.
there's
It's,
proper 80s 90s heroes comebacks happening in Malayalam. Like
yeah,
you had yeah, we had Abraham Osler in January first 2 weeks. It came with the whole Merry Christmas, Tamil films, everything. It had Jairam making a comeback to like proper bona fide success happening to him. In between, he played fathers to. He even plays father to Mahesh Babu in Guntur Karan. He played father to again Allu Arjun in Nala Vekatapuram. So after that, he's finally getting to play the cop, beaten cop in Abraham Osler. And then of course you had Lijo Joe's Pelisheri's film this past
did
week.
you see that? Did you see the
Oh yeah,
Malikote
I
guy?
saw it late last. I think yeah, I saw it on Sunday. It was an interesting film.
Hmm.
So I was watching this film. So there are a lot of like very poetic visuals, the long shots, wide shots, and a lot of nothingness happening. At one point, I was trying to figure out if I'm missing out on certain nuances and all. But I still don't know. There's a shot of two bullock carts coming in. There's a random black goat running around somewhere. I don't know if it's part of the visual or if it's part of something I should understand. So it still makes you think on those lines. Are we reading too much into it, or is it just a plain simple film?
I mean,
I
in
think
little film, you can read too much into it, so
yeah,
you'll
and
find
you'll have enough
that.
to read also. And this film is
Yeah.
actually a proper 2 hours 40 minutes film about a random wrestler who finishes one challenge of the other, and it's like he goes around challenging people and winning, and what happens to it. It's a very, very whimsical film, almost like a fable. If someone tells me this as a one story every week and says, wait for next week, you come back, yeah, I'll be happy. I'll come back and see the what happens next kind of a film. But the film's also getting a lot of criticisms per se. One of
I
Lijo's
mean, people
probably
were expecting a mass movie. It seems I don't understand why were they doing expecting that from a Lee Jojo's
I,
place.
I, it's really interesting. Like people want like Lijo chose Mammootty for Nanpagal Nerathumayakam, which was a very grounded film, and he chose Mohanlal for this. It's actually a very massy film, but the
Hmm.
massy things are not really what you expect out of a typical Mohanlal. So it's
Yeah,
somewhere it's still very much a Lijo film though. I don't get the See, when you walk into Lijo film, you walk into Lijo film. It's not irrespective of who's playing the star. It's actually interesting how Lijo manages to make the Lijo film, irrespective of who's working with. A lot of directors who work with these big stars don't really get that freedom or the correct mix, but I think Lijo manages to do that every single time.
And he's also very confident about what he has done. He's saying like you only have 28 days, watch it on big screen or try for a recent
And
he was like,
it is a
you want
very,
to
very
watch. I'm not. He's like, I'm not going to care if you're going to watch or not. But if you don't watch, it's your loss. That kind of attitude
and
he
it is
has.
a proper big screen film. Huh? It has a lot of colors. It's very folklorish. It's a lot of things. A lot of things. Yeah. No, I didn't watch Adilan.
Yeah, I saw it.
Ah, lovely.
Yeah, it's a pretty good film. I mean, I'm starting to develop a strong taste for Prithvi Konanur kind of films. It was, I think, my first film. Pink Eli was the first film I saw of his, and then, but I'm just getting a taste of it. I'm liking it. It's so grounded. It's so, I mean, realistic, and it's nostalgic. I mean, the everything, the entire color setup. I mean, I don't know how he manages to select all these actors, or basically non-actors. They're not professionals, but they end up giving one of the most fresh, very a very realistic performances that we haven't seen, that we don't usually see when trained actor doing those kind of emotions. It's very what do you call this? Very new. It's very unique. Those emotions, the way they look at each other, the way look at the camera. It was very. I really enjoyed it. It was basically all of Prithvi Konanu's films and end up being some sort of a thriller towards the end, and it usually begins a very on a very mundane note, but you never know when the pace picks up quickly, and suddenly you're like sitting on the edge of the seat, wondering what's going to happen. Like it was pretty awesome.
Has it been a rather quiet month for Kannada cinema? Like at the end of December, you had Darshan's film coming.
Katera.
After that, yeah, after Katera, there's not any big film that's come up.
I think no big films. I think for next few months it's gonna be like this until Sudeep's Max. And yeah, there are interesting projects happening in Kannada, but nothing immediately that we could talk about. But yeah, month of January, I think Adnel into 1718 film. That this film was pretty good, but the tragedy is like it doesn't get a bigger audience or a bigger platform, and I don't even understand why the OTT platforms also don't invest in us films.
But out of curiosity, considering there are no big Kannada films that's come, wouldn't 17 or 18 Hadilandu get a release, like wide release there? Or is it the
I think
other language films coming in and taking those?
yeah, other language films. Bangalore is pretty big market for other films, and also I think this sort of films, they lack the promotional budget to take it to a bigger audiences, and so also there's no start phase to sell the tickets. But Prithvi goes on to show that you don't need a lot of money to make a beautiful film. So that is yeah, think about it. Sukanya, any last comments?
May the force be with February. I'm going in with my fingers crossed. Yeah.
Yeah, 2024. Be kind to us.
Yeah, be kind to all of us, and I hope February we have a lot more releases across And more different genres, more
No,
diverse films.
we have a lot of good films coming out. Pushpa 2, we have Indian 2, Game Changer,
Yeah.
and
Right.
Lokesh's films coming out.
We actually have there's a huge Tamil film with Rajnikant playing a cameo role coming in February. That's there.
Lal Salam.
Lal Salam is there, and there's also an interesting film. I just forgot to mention. It's a film called Blue Star that released last week of January in Tamil.
Yeah,
It's Param presented the film. It's Jaikumar direct. Very interesting film about cricket and how there's class oppression, there's caste oppression, there's a very nuanced conversation about it. I hope lot of these films actually have a wider reach once it's on OTT and people around, not just in Tamil, start watching the film, and that's how I hope even Prithvi's film gets that reach. Like I remember watching Pipi, and then later after it released, and then talking about. No, I think such films need to be spoken about immediately. Like this month's biggest Kannada film is Saptasagaradache Yellow Part B, Side B, released on Prime. People are talking about that now. So I think OTT will give that films a run that will be longer. I hope all of us get to watch a lot of films this month and probably the year also.
In Hindi, I guess there's Tere Pyar Mein Aisa Ulja Jiya coming out, which the trailer pretty much gave away a whole lot. But I'm still hoping that there'll be some surprises in store. And there's Kiran Rao's movie coming out, which looks very promising. Lapata Ladies. Yeah.
And of course, Changalan is coming out. Kanguva.
That will also happen in second half. So I think the second half of 2024 will be jam-packed with all stars bringing in their films. It's like how we are going to reach that point is what will be interesting. What happens between August, you'll know what's going to happen. So from July, August, you'll know. Till June will be interesting to see.
I mean, with OTT platforms, you don't have any challenge when it comes to picking the content to watch.
Yeah.
I think right now the problem is you have plenty. That is the reason I'm not able to keep up with most of the new releases, because there's also new arrivals on OTT platforms.
There's so much Korean stuff to watch, and I mean the benchmark they have set is like so incredibly high that it's like a whole different world to get back to after going that high. It's just, if you are not into it, please get into it. It's insanely good.
Will do.
I don't like Korean film. I mean series, but I'm a huge fan of Korean films. Like
if you think Korean drama is only the romances, you have got to watch the thrillers, which unfortunately or fortunately are on Disney Hotstar, who do not promote it so much. So you've got seriously good stuff, the crime and supernatural and everything. It's really good. You should catch it. Because one sort of thing kids only the lovey-dovey stuff, which also they do very well, but right now there's quite a lot on our own local platter.
True. Yeah.
Thank you for making me do this.
Thank you. It was so
getting
nice
out of my comfort zone.
Thanks, and all the best for Avinash. I think he has started some YouTube channel. I've already subscribed to it.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah.
So all the best, and hope you win a silver plate of YouTube.
Hopefully.
Soon.
Just happy to do a lot, like do other language films also, and then because one publication just get fixed to one, so I'm just looking to get that. Thank you so much.
It's great. And all the best.
Pleasure talking to you guys.
Yeah, all the best.